This is the Grow Ortho live stream. I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined by Melissa Gardner, HIP's very own practice advisor. Welcome to the live stream, Melissa.
Thanks, Zach. I can't think of anywhere I'd rather be on a Friday afternoon.
Well, there you go. And we're going to have a great time. Let us know where you're watching from and that you're excited about today's stream, because we've got some awesome stuff planned for you today, because we're going to be talking about treatment coordinators. We're going to be talking about how to develop someone in that role, how to make them just absolute rock stars. And I'm looking forward to it, jumping into all of that. So guys, let us know how you're doing down in the chat. And it's a beautiful day. It's going to be an awesome day. And it's a little chilly here in Florida. How's it there where you're at?
It's 62 and sunny here in Texas.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
I like it cold. I like it cold.
Not
Everybody
me.
everybody coming in, they're like wearing like parkas, and I literally wearing like a t-shirt and shorts. And they were like, "What is wrong with you?" And I was like, "Well, I like it cold, so you know."
I mean, I'm a flip-flop year-round kind of girl, so even cold, I don't mind that, but I would prefer warm for sure.
Well, I think it's because I'm a bigger guy and I just like the cold weather. So, guys, we're going to be chatting about the treatment coordinator role, all that good stuff. We'll also be taking questions from you the second half of the show. So if you have any questions, go ahead, pop those in the chat. It's going to be a good time. We're going to get to those. We're going to star them as they come in. So go ahead and pop them in there as we get rolling on this. So, Melissa, before we get jumped into the meat and potatoes, if you will, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your experience within the orthodontic industry.
Absolutely. So I've actually had the absolute honor and joy to be in dental and orthodontics for over 20 years. Now, don't let that age me, but over 20 years now. I actually was working as a treatment coordinator in a practice here in Amarillo, Texas, whenever we partnered and joined with HIP. And I mean, obviously it was amazing, because here I am 3 years later, still just, rocking it with HIP, helping grow practices and just continuing to empower what they did for me in that same space. So I'm super passionate about, the orthodontics field and what we're able to do for patients and the way we're able to impact their lives, and that, what we're able to do here at HIP to impact the practices so they can.
I love that, because you've been in the trenches. It's not just theory or what ifs or, well, maybe this will help. You've actually been there. You've seen the transformative value of what we're doing here at HIP in a practice. And that's exciting, because so many other places, you listen to gurus all over the internet and they've never done it themselves. So here at HIP, we've got people that have actually done it, and that's super exciting, because today like I said, we're going to be talking about treatment coordinators. Go ahead, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with a treatment coordinator that that could benefit from this, even if they've been in that role for a bajillion years.
Yep. We can always get better. There's always something someone can give to you.
Always can get better. So, Melissa, what is the importance of a treatment coordinator in an orthodontic practice, and what does their role entail for anybody that doesn't know?
Absolutely. So while every part of the practice is integral, your TC is really the heart of the practice, right? This is the person that is outside of that initial phone call, is the first face that they sit down and have a true conversation with. They're the one that you can express your concerns, your fears, your excitements, what's really, driving you into that space. And they're the one that's going to be able to transition and lead them into all of the other parts of the practice, get them in the clinic, get their braces on. So they're so integral to everything that you do. But the real part of our job is we get to sell smiles. And I can't think of a better job than selling smiles.
And that's such a huge thing, because a smile changes all parts of life. If you've ever dealt with any problems with your teeth or whatever, crooked, anything, people bully people, all of these kind of things, or you just want to feel more self-confident, being able to get a better smile is huge. And being the person that helps them on that journey is so awesome.
It's so true. So, I mean, just a little fun backstory for me. The reason I ended up in dental and ortho is, I had some jacked up teeth, Zach, and, my parents just didn't, they kept them clean, but I didn't get braces. I didn't get to have that opportunity. So I made it my career. Well, one, for the free braces and, change other people's lives, but it was an impactful thing for me to be able to be confident and smile. And when we really think about it, this is something that they are going to have for the rest of their life. This is what the smile that we're going to wear on their wedding day, the first one that their children's going to see, the grandparents. I mean, it's something that's literally with them for the rest of their lives. And so being able to have the passion and the purpose and the reason for why you do what you do is really what's going to make that game changer on being a rock star TC. You have to love what you do, and you have to really want to serve and bring that to those people.
I think that encapsulates passion. So what does passion, like in this role, how does it play a part of being a coordinator, and how can that actually impact like everyday interactions that a TC could have?
Well, I mean, let's be real. Passion, mood, energy, whatever word you want to use, is contagious. Mm-hmm. So whatever aspect you're approaching any situation in, everyone around you is going to feel that before you ever speak the first word to them. And so if you're truly passionate about people changing their lives with smiles, and the practice that you work for, and the doctor that is putting these braces on the teeth, and the team that's collaborating around them, that patient is going to feel that from your very first interaction. And with that, it's going to build immediate trust and confidence in they're in the right place. This is where they want to be. And it's going to increase all of their satisfaction from the team to the doctor to the patient. So it's really integral to have that. I don't know if you've ever had a bad experience somewhere, but I'm a firm believer that people will always talk about their best experiences and their worst experiences. The middle ones get left out. And so I guess it really just depends on how you want people talking about you and how many patients you want driving in, because that TC brought that passion, immediately built that connection, and helped them to achieve what they were there to do.
Yeah. Like, do you have any like stories that you've, like experienced this on your end of things since you were a treatment coordinator?
Absolutely. One thing that I absolutely tell people to do, I think sometimes as TCs, we are very busy, hopefully, right? We are very busy. But take those moments to follow some of those patients that you interact with, and especially whenever they're getting their braces off, and being able to walk in and see the transformation of this human that sat there in your office, nervous, unaware, scared, and then they're beaming and smiling. I've seen tears, I've seen cheers, I've seen it all. And it's amazing whenever you actually take those moments to realize what you did, what you helped them to achieve. Because I think sometimes you get in your own bubble, we're busy, we're doing follow-up, we're crushing it. That's fantastic. But take that moment, maybe walk, you have an open 5 minutes, walk through the clinic, see those smiles that you're helping to create, and see the impact that you're making. And if that doesn't fuel your passion for what you do, I'm not sure what will, but I highly encourage that, because it will make a difference in how you approach every single day and every single patient that you interact with.
Because it goes past just like, I helped them convert into a patient. They went from a potential patient to a start. It's that human element, like that rapport that you've built can continue on, and it's having passion for the patient, being driven for the patient instead of the key performance indicator. Your KPIs and all of that are great, but if you don't actually care about the patient, that patient is going to feel it when you walk in. You're going to feel like you are prey and they are the predator. You know what I mean? Like you're in the water with the shark.
Well, and I mean, so even just with the patients, so think about the team. I guarantee you, if you're crushing it and you're serving all these patients at the highest level, starts are coming in, the team's happy, they're hitting bonuses. I promise you, the doctor's smile that you work for is going to be just as engaging and excited as the team or as the patients that you help to transpire. So I think it's just so integral to really ensure that you are in the right place and space and know that this is making a difference.
And I think, it's like, knowing that your efforts are helping the whole practice, it's helping that person. I'm sure like it would, like in your experience, it helped push you to go that extra mile to, oh, there's somebody that came in and, they want to start now. And you're like, oh, well, I was about to take lunch, but I'll take them right now.
Absolutely. It's a game changer. So I have a fun little story. So I was a treatment coordinator for years here in Amarillo. And after we had worked with HIP, we had refined all these processes and we were just crushing it. And so, of course, summer hits. We know we're busy. We actually set a very substantial goal of 200 starts a month for June, July, and August. However, my amazing doctor did not necessarily talk about that. He just brought it up. He said, you know what, if we hit 200 starts during the middle of our huddle, then everybody gets a bonus. And so, of course, I'm like a little bit shell shocked, right? Here we go. We're going to do this. But it was really funny. After that, he came and talked to me. He said, Melissa, you're the field goal kicker. The game's tied. You make it, everybody loves you. You miss it, they're probably going to be a little disappointed, but they'll survive. And so that ignited yet another passion in me. I wanted my team members to succeed. I wanted them to have that opportunity. I wanted to serve as many patients as possible. And guess what? We nailed it every single month. The team was happy, and like the clinic, they were happy. I was like, hey, can you take a same day start? They're like, yeah, we can. Right. So their passion's now infused because we're all in it together and we're all driving for that purpose.
Yeah, because, when challenges come up, they're not problems anymore, because problems, it's like, I had to go deal with that. But challenges, it helps you and the rest of the team be able to overcome that. And that creates that camaraderie that you're in this together. And it's a positive environment. I think that's huge. When you're going into work, you're excited and not just like, oh my God, I gotta talk to these people. And I think that's huge, is having that passion.
Yeah. Think about your day. If you walk in and you go, 8 exams today, oh my gosh, your whole day is set at that tone. And every person you interact with is set at that tone. And so you're impacting them in such a negative stance. You may be taking away a really great moment for them. They may have been looking forward to getting braces their whole life, and your mood offset that. But if you walk in and you go, man, only 8 patients today, I want to serve 10, like everyone's getting braces and you're just shelling it out. That is going to drive everyone around you, whether it's a patient, your doctor, your team members, your front desk who's answering these calls, your clinic staff who's putting them on. It's just a game changer for how you build a dynamic team in order to really succeed in that.
So, Melissa, now that everybody has an understanding of the passion that it takes to actually be a rock star in this TC role, what is the foundation that needs to be in place? Because if you're trying to build a house, you don't start with the roof, you don't start with the walls, you start with the foundation. So what does that foundation look like to be a successful TC?
So the biggest key is obviously having a strong set of goals, right? You have to decide where your vision is leading you for that week, that month, that day. So always having a clear set of goals, but ensuring that you have a streamlined process, whether it's, all the way through, right? I don't know if I actually went to a doctor's office, a new doctor's office, and they were old school paper charts, kicking it. That's great. But someone didn't know where the papers were. I filled out 500 forms. They forgot 2 of them. And I don't know that I'd go back. And it was just because if I don't have confidence in my experience, and I don't know that I have confidence for them to treat me. And so whenever we're building that foundation, having a clear set of goals and having a streamlined process, exactly how this patient is going to flow through, making it as seamless and as easy as possible for them. And the way that you can do that is through, ensuring that you have the correct softwares, right? Like, are we implementing an ability to ensure we're hitting every single call? How are those calls going in preparation for them to come see me as a treatment coordinator? Am I making those, same day calls or confirmation and building the rapport right away? And then how does that exam go? And do you have your alignment in place with you and the doctor to ensure that every key piece is taken care of? So every practice is going to do it a little different, and that's perfectly fine. But the number one thing is to create and build your foundation with patient first. How do I make their experience as seamless as possible and the best experience that they've had? And then implement those processes and follow them and do them regularly. Make sure that you're tracking, your follow-ups, everything that you do. So there's so many things that go into it. And like I said, everyone may approach it differently, but the common basis of this is setting goals and expectations and driving that force to ensure that that patient has the best experience during that time of reaching those goals and expectations.
And I think being purposeful is a huge part of this. Every interaction needs to have a purpose. It needs to be driven towards that purpose. And your goal might be different than the patient's goal. How does that work
Absolutely.
when you're in the TC room with a patient?
Yeah. So your goal is always to guide them into treatment, right? That's the goal, the purpose that you have in mind. However, their purpose could be they have an upcoming wedding. Their purpose could be that they've been made fun of. Their purpose could be that they're not really sure that they want this, but their mom made them come. And so you have to make sure that you're opening up those lines of communication and you're really focusing that appointment on them. At the end of the day, we all know that we want to get them started. We want to get them in treatment, but it's not about you at that moment. It's about what their needs are and how you're able to fulfill that. And if you're able to really give them the purpose behind what they want to achieve and they feel like they're part of a bigger plan and it's not just about I'm selling you right now, then that's going to be a game changer for their experience. And that's going to be something that transcends, right? They're going to tell everybody about the experience that they had. And so making sure that we're obviously driven by our purpose, but we're really solely focused around theirs and what they need in order to get to that space and place where they're ready to accept treatment. And it could be a multitude of things, but it's really just a matter of honing in and making it about them and keeping your focus on their purpose and how you're able to help them achieve it.
Yeah, genuine interest. Like that, I feel like that is
100%.
the thing right there, building that rapport. And we say this on several different podcasts, different pieces of content that we make. This comes from our good friend Julie Neese, that rapport means really all people prefer others resembling themselves. So as someone comes in there, you're seeing, oh, well, I've got my notes from the front desk, they've been scared of the doctor or whatever. And you can take that and you be like, hey, I totally understand, I used to be afraid of the doctor, but, Dr. such and such, amazing. Like he is so, he's going to take care of you. You're putting that at ease because you've already leveled with them. You're at where they're at and you're showing empathy. Empathy is key here, not sympathy, but empathy.
100%. And, they're full of fears and questions and doubts and concerns. And if you're able to truly connect and focus on them, you'll be able to guide and find those questions and be able to answer them. I had a little girl and her sole purpose for braces was she couldn't wait to put colors on it. And that's all she cared about. So we were all about the colors, right? Let's look at them. Which color are you going to put on here in about 10 minutes, whenever we put you in the clinic? That was her purpose. So really listening to what they want, what they feel, what they're concerned about is going to be, the difference in whether that patient starts treatment with you and you're able to serve them with the amazing team that you're surrounded by.
And that helps create the environment that they feel like they're cared for. They trust the process now because you've actually listened to them. You've heard their concerns. You've calmed those concerns and you've engaged them while you're building this treatment plan with the doctor and giving them everything. And, back to the colors. Oh, what colors are you looking for? Like those little things is huge because it's all about your communication skills. It's like, why are we doing this? What stands out? And a treatment coordinator is all about communication.
Yeah. And I mean, here's the reality of it. If they're in your office and they're of age, they're planning on getting braces. I guarantee you, nobody's taking off work. No one's pulling their kid out of school with 10,000 doors and buzzers to go through to bring them somewhere that they don't have the intention to follow through with. It's just really a matter of, are they going to start with you? Did they connect with you? Did you make them feel valued and safe and ease their worries in order to make them start treatment with you? And that's really what it boils down to. Like I said, people aren't just, I love the shop around. I'm shopping around. And I tell people, here's the reality. I don't know a single person that made 4 orthodontic appointments for their child and decided that that's what they wanted to do. That's a fear tactic, right? I'm shopping around. That means that we missed a connection. We didn't serve their purpose in some aspect of this process. And they're now shopping around because they're just trying to leave, And so if we vaccinate against that, if we truly make sure that we're meeting their goals and their purpose, they're starting. They're there. They've already made the commitment. They've filled out tons of paperwork. Nobody does that for fun. And so I think if we just have that understanding that we may have our own goals, but if we serve theirs, they're gonna start with you every time.
Yeah, and to that point where they might throw this is an issue or an objection or whatever, you need to see what happened 3 steps ago where that pacing has been broke off, like that connection that you built at the beginning. There's something wrong there, so you need to slow down, get off of your point. Oh yeah, we our plans are this or that, and they're at the can I even afford this or whatever it might be. You need to backtrack and get with them because you're the guide. They want to walk beside you and not be hauled behind you screaming.
100%. And the other side of that is you don't want to feel like you're shoving them into something, right? So if we've missed a key point, if we've had a disconnect somewhere, then instead of pushing forward and still trying to move that in the direction, take a moment, ask for some feedback. Okay, I understand, what is it that is your concern in moving forward, and how can I help you with that? And that doesn't mean that it has to be right now, but if I can address their concern and earn their trust, even if they walk away, the likelihood of them returning, if I didn't just push and push, is so much higher. And so we have to make sure that, like I said, those processes, they have to be on point from that initial call, how we're speaking to them, what we're asking them, what we're telling them. Everybody has a fear of financials or of pain. And so having everyone teed up to be able to answer those and be able to ease those fears and things before they even step foot in the door just makes it that much more connective for the TC to already have a vision on how to help guide them into the right choice and decision for them.
Yeah, it's being proactive. Like, no one likes to be on the back end of something, on the back of the ball. They like to be proactive. They like to make sure that things are happening. And you brought up vaccinating. How can you help vaccinate against some common complaints, or not necessarily complaints, but common, like, oh, well, I got to talk to my husband, or I got to talk to my wife, or whatever it is. Like, how can you, as the treatment coordinator, as soon as someone steps in, you can start vaccinating against those potential holdups?
Right. So honestly, it should even start prior to that. So I'm a huge fan. Obviously we're confirming with them. Front desk is rocking it out for them and getting them on the schedule and gathering all that. Making it an initial call the day before and introducing yourself, letting them know what to expect before they walk in the door. And even being able to maybe break down some of those financial aspects. We don't know what your treatment's going to be, right? That's for the doctor to decide. However, we always are going to make it financially affordable for you to achieve your smile. You can typically get started for $500 down. Payments are under $200. They're having these conversations. I know as a wife and a mom, I'm having that conversation. I'm gonna say, hey, you know what? Kagan's got an appointment tomorrow. They told me that we could get started for $500 and payments are going to be under $200. If everything feels right, makes sense, and they have availability, we're doing it tomorrow, so I don't have to pull them out of school. So if we can vaccinate before they ever walk in the door, then now we just get to enjoy our time with them, right? Because we've already eased the majority of their fears. And then there's still going to be some that kind of come up and happen. But if you're prepared for every aspect, if you love what you do and you know the ins and outs of what they're going to have concerns about, because we're going to hear the same ones. Everyone's going to hear the same ones. We're seeing some other practices. I need to talk to my husband. But if we're vaccinating prior, those dissipate. And hey, even if they do, I have no problem stepping out of the room. You can call your husband, no problem. I'll give you a moment and I'll come right back and we can chat about it again. So just making sure that once again, we're back in those processes. We are taking them every step of the way, providing the utmost care, the utmost honesty, right? Just being clear and concise with them, it's going to build a trust that makes it so much easier whenever you have them in that treatment coordinating room to lead them into treatment.
Yeah, trustworthiness. Like
100%.
that is huge for this role. And I think also a can-do attitude where you are ready to just crush it, go to bat for your practice and the patient, that you are willing to just help them out, because most healthcare environments suck. Let's just be honest.
They do. Everyone's miserable. Everyone, so orthodontists shouldn't be that way. So my son is 16. He's done with braces. I have never seen him be excited about a doctor's appointment, but he knew every single day whenever is it my ortho appointment? Do I get to go into the orthodontist? He loved it. It was an amazing experience. Not only is he becoming more handsome and getting a great smile, he is enjoying every moment of it. And so that's just a huge factor. I mean, you need to come in with like an Oprah mindset every day. Like, you get braces, you get braces, you get braces. Like, that should be your mantra every morning. Like, everybody's getting braces. Like, and it just changes the way that you do your job and the experience that everyone has around you.
Well, and it's a customer care centric approach where you're respecting everybody. There's kindness, there's understanding. And I love the Oprah centric mentality. That is like the best way to put it. Because
did you ever see anyone sad at Oprah's?
No. Especially on car day. Like, everybody was like, oh my God, they were just
So like every day at your practice is braces day. Like, everybody's getting braces,
So Melissa, if someone takes all of these areas and maximizes how they're approaching the TC role and they're executing on them to be an exceptional treatment coordinator, how can, I know you brought up like streamlining and optimizing everything, but how can they do that for the patient journey so it goes like just amazing? Like, how do they go about doing that?
So the number one thing is to always be growing, right? Always be looking into any aspect that can give you the best advantage to be streamlined. So making sure that every single thing is in place for the day before, prepping it, having everything ready, going over the notes. Notes are so important. Your front desk team are your rock stars. They're going to let you know what to expect, how to prepare. And the realistic side of it is, if you're fueled by passion, if you're driven by purpose, and your team has a process that streamlines everything, failure's not an option. You're going to succeed, and you're going to enjoy doing it as you succeed. And so I think that that's the biggest thing, is just starting every single day to ensure that you are prepared for every patient. That's their 30 minutes. That's their hour, if that's where you're at in consults, and making sure that you have all of those things in place. So I'm a huge fan of obviously making sure that communication is key throughout the entire practice. Having, like I said, use the softwares, use the practice beacon, make sure that every calls are taken care of, use Gauge, make sure that you're driving your own analytics, make sure you're keeping up with your own paces, and just making sure that you have a cadence and a nurture prior to them coming in, as well as a cadence and a follow-up if they and after they leave. And so those are going to be the biggest key things, is it to ensure success.
So let's talk a little bit about the treatment presentation side of things.
Yeah.
How can, you like, especially if you are a TC empowered consult, where what that means is, for everybody that's watching, the doctor doesn't even come in. You are having to present that plan and everything. How can you take this complex treatment plan and make it easy to understand?
Make it simple. People, Harrison's a huge fan of saying this. They're driven off of time and money and want. I want my teeth straight. Can you straighten them? How long is it going to take, and how much is it going to cost? So making sure that you're centric on their needs, but making it simple. Whenever I used to, prior to working with HIP, whenever we would present, we were going, here's a high payment, low, or high down payment, low monthly payment. Here's a low monthly payment, high down payment. And you're just sitting here making all of these offers and options, and just making people more confused, or what's the right choice, or am I going to make the wrong choice? Make it simple. Come together as a team and say, here's our fees for this time frame of braces. Your TCs know, they know what their capabilities and parameters are to get them started. and set those standards. We can go as low as $500 down. Payments are always under 200, and present that. That is the best option. I know we always do pay in fulls and things like that, but the reality of it is people know that money is power, and they're going to ask. If they have the money to pay in full, they're going to say, hey, do you have a pay in full discount? Instead of presenting all these different options, go straight for the easiest, most seamless way to present that in order for them to make the easiest decision to move forward. And that's really going to be the number one key whenever you're in there and you're in the midst of talking about their financials and all of those things, is make it easy, and to go from there. And then if you have pushback or leeway, you can start to assess what their concerns are with that treatment plan and use your guided parameters in order to move that forward.
Yeah. And, again, having the call the day before, which I think is a great way to, engage them on, hey, this is what the cost is, because the front desk side, the care center has already done that, but you're setting that up. And now you're in this place where it's like, hey, this is going on, but they know that you're there, that you're caring, and that you've made sure they come in there, because a parent does not want to say, oh, well, I don't have the money in front of their kid.
Exactly. But the other side of that is, think about all the things that you're accomplishing in that call the day before. You're reiterating financial concerns or fears. You're also giving them an additional connection to your practice. So they've already talked to the bubbly Kirsty up front, and now they're hearing from the person they're going to see. And you're letting them know that they're valued and you care about them. You're making them at ease and building a trust already. So, and also, you know what, if they're not going to show up, you're probably going to find out then, because they're not going to talk to you, or they're going to cancel. So, imagine what you can accomplish in that one quick phone call to make that introduction, set some standards and expectations, and ease their fears and concerns.
So let's say they've already started, they're in treatment and everything. Mm-hmm. How does follow-up care come into this? I know you've had experience on the TC side and also hip. So how does that look for you?
So if they've started already?
Yeah.
So if they've started, then obviously at this point, they're really going to be, in the clinic around that team. However, making sure those small touch points whenever patients come in and you're available, remembering them and being able to interact with them. If they've come in and they haven't started, you really want to make sure that you're still building a great trust and serving them at that purpose. So I know that, some people may find it aggressive to have multiple follow-ups, but I, as a mom, I'm busy, my kid, my work, my life. So whenever people take that initiative and that time out of their day to check in with me, see how I'm doing, see if there's something that they can help assist to get me to my goal that I already told them I wanted, I appreciate that, because I dropped the ball, and I'm a trained TC. I'm great at follow-up, but I still dropped the ball. So everybody else is going to have those factors too. So making sure you're approaching it from the right perspective. If you care, then you should care enough to stay in contact, to push through, and to follow up until they tell you they're not interested. They started somewhere else. At the end of the day, that's going to be the game-changing interaction for them on, maybe they did have 4 consults, but did the other 3 people call them and follow up and take care of them and meet their needs and ask how they are and try to make everything work for them? Probably not, but you did, and it'll show. It'll show whenever you have them in treatment in your practice.
So it's easy to compartmentalize all of these areas, because, just thinking about it, there's a lot going on here. How can someone in the TC role integrate purpose, passion, and processes without feeling, to be honest, overwhelmed?
So let's work our way backwards. So processes are going to be set in the standards by the practice. So continuously analyzing those. Is there something that's not working? Is there somewhere that it's getting stuck, or it's glitchy, or it doesn't feel like it's moving through? And have those conversations amongst the team. Make sure that y'all are all on the same page as far as the process, and weed out any weaknesses. Make that as easy as possible. So once that's streamlined, that right there in itself is going to take a weight off of your shoulders. So then whenever you move in and you come from a state of purpose, you're not going to feel like you're working. Like, you're enjoying it. You are interacting and making people ecstatic and giving them an opportunity to impact and change their lives. So whenever you're really focused on their purpose, your day is going to fly by. So it removes some of that stress and strain. And at the end of the day, what's the saying? If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So if you are passionate and love what you do, then burnout doesn't ever come into a factor. But I think the number one thing is always being patient centric, number one. And then two, being open and honest and communicative amongst your team. If there is something that's faltering or not working or cross connecting in a path whenever you're trying to create this journey, then analyze it, talk to, reach out to a growth advisor, to a practice advisor. Always stay collaborating and growing. There's people out there that do it a different way. And I love it. I love going and seeing the ways that different practices approach things and how it's able to work for them in that dynamic. And maybe those don't all correlate with yours, but I think if you stop seeking alternative ways to improve, then you're just going to plateau. You're going to start to lose your purpose and your passion, and really, lose your patience as well.
Yeah, because, if you lose those first two and you say you've got killer processes, but you don't have purpose and passion, it doesn't matter how great your processes are, because no one's going to get to experience the processes because they haven't ever signed up.
All that means is you got a really nice truck, but you're stuck in the mud spinning your wheels. I mean, that's all it really boils down to. Processes are great, but without passion and purpose, the team member, like the really reality of it is the patient probably doesn't know or care about your processes. They just know what you're driving them through and how they're experiencing it. So you have to have them all. You have to have all three to really have that dynamic team change as far as things go.
Speaking of the team, I know, some practices have, the front versus the back and all of this kind of weird thing there. How would you navigate that to make sure that it is a team effort and not a us versus them?
It's all about communication. So I started out in the clinic. I was a clinical assistant for years. So I've had the opportunity. I know the stresses and strains of the clinic. I know the stresses and strains of the front desk, and I know the stresses and strains of the treatment coordinator. But at the same time, I think that whenever you lose sight of the patient first, that's whenever the front and the back become enemies, because you're focused on you. You're focused on what you're dealing with. And I'm not saying that those things aren't valid and they shouldn't be discussed and streamlined and worked on. But at the same time, if everybody, whether you're a clinical assistant, insurance coordinator, treatment coordinator, it doesn't matter. If you're there to serve the patient and make their experience the best, then you don't have time to focus on what your complaints are from the back versus the front. And the reality of it is there's not a position in the practice that's a cakewalk. They all come with their own pros and cons, but we're there for the patient. So if you just focus and communicate amongst each other, and if everyone's driven by passion, guess what? You're all collaborating. You're all ready to go. It's going to be great. You're going to have ups and downs, but at the end of the day, patients come first. So if you just keep your focus and alignment there, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Always know that your reality and someone else's reality are two different things. And what's real and the actual reality is out here. So you have to constantly be thinking, oh, is this actually what's happening? Or is this my perceived reality? And, it's so easy to get in your head and to concoct all of these things. It's like, oh, well, Joan hates me because, that one time I accidentally drank her Coke out of the fridge or whatever. And Joan,
don't do that, Zach. Do not drink somebody else's Coke.
Don't do that, one. But two, it's like, if you apologize and move on, like Joan's a grown up, you know what I mean? Like buy her Coke, replace it and move on. But it's like these things, because you have to constantly be checking yourself and show up and give 100% in any role within the practice. Like you have to be doing that so the practice actually makes money. I'm sure the orthodontist is, if there's infighting that he's like, what is this going on? I'm gonna have,
Yes.
he just wants to treat patients. He just
Yep.
wants to fix teeth. But as the treatment coordinator, I know it is essential in converting potential patients into starts. How does a TC or a practice go about measuring success, quote unquote?
So, I mean, the success is based off of conversion, right? Are we in the right space and place, and that we are converting patients? There's a million different ways that a million different people are going to tell you to subsidize and view conversion, but the reality of it comes down to how many people did you offer treatment to, and how many people started. It's really basic and simple. And so keeping an eye on those numbers are essential. But the other metrics outside of that are, your observation. Are you maintaining your OBS appointments? Are you keeping your savings account healthy? Are you keeping them coming in so that you have potential in the future? Are you following up with those that maybe weren't ready to start? So for the TC, your main objective is converting, but there's more than just same day converting. You have to make sure that you are nurturing every single one of those potential patients, whether it's today, next month, 4 years from now, whatever those key pieces are. And if you hone in on those key metrics that are really going to affect with you, you're able to really generate those. Obviously, there's others like no shows and call to exam and things like that you're going to correlate with because they affect you. No shows affect you. Empty consults affect you. So all of those things are going to play in a key thing, and that's why you've got to be in sync with your front desk team. Y'all are not front desk and TC. Y'all are patient servants that need to collaborate together and be able to see how we can help complete that. So I think just back to that TC call, the front desk is confirming, and that's great, but are y'all working together as a combined source to provide the best information and experience for the patient and get them in? But making sure that you're really honing in on how well you're able to convert, how well you're able to implement follow-up and nurture, and how well you're able to keep those people who have already spent time with you in that wheelhouse and moving forward for future opportunities.
Yeah, I feel like patient satisfaction and treatment acceptance kind of go hand in hand. Like if they're not satisfied with what you're doing, guess what? They're not going to say yes.
Nope.
Who wants to pay $6,000 to $10,000 on a place where it's like, I don't really want to be here?
Yeah. Well, and guess what? They're telling everybody else not to start with you either. So
Yeah.
People love to talk. We live in an easy access to information world. You can pop on and leave a bad review. You can put anything on Facebook. So it's so key to make sure that you are assessing your feedback. If someone doesn't start with you, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask. Is there anything that I could have done differently to better serve you? Is there anything that I didn't answer or ease whenever it came to your questions or concerns? And if nothing else, even if they don't move forward with you, you have constructive feedback and they still feel valued walking away because you asked them what you could have done differently. You didn't make them feel like they didn't, do something that you were expecting them to do.
A lot of times, like if you've ever, you've might have had a difficult patient or, you had to really work, like something went wrong and you really had to work like extra hard. Normal person, it was pretty easy to get them signed, they're happy. But the people that you have to work really hard to get back on their good side and then impress them, you've had to work like triple the amount for that.
Absolutely.
And that person is going to sing your praises way more than someone that just like, yeah, I had a good time. I think about Dr. Carter, you can check out his whole story, like where there was a falling out and it wasn't great, but now he's come back and he's singing the praises of HIP and everything. But there was a time and place where there had to be a lot of work on both ends to make that relationship. And I think that's important to see here is, hey, you might have to really go to bat to make something happen, but that's going to be so big because that feedback loop is going to tell you a lot about what's going on in your practice.
Right. And I think that self-awareness is huge. So I was a middle child. So everything was always, tragic for me. And my grandma would always ask me, Melissa, did it happen to you or because of you? And so I think that's a really big thing, whether it's the back versus the front or a patient that's unhappy. Is this happening to you without any interaction or any cause on your own behalf, or is it happening because of you? And if you can really take that self-awareness and self-assessment, then that's going to drive you to find out what you did instead of being the victim or feeling like you're having to do backflips for someone. You're really focused on improving yourself and mending the repairing the relationship or the issue that you had happen. So self-awareness, self-assessment's so huge. It's easy to be the victim. It's not always easy to take the blame, eat the crow, push through and make things right.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said a problem, once it happens, it's dead, it's gone. And a lot of people are just wallowing in the crap of the problem. You're just rolling around in it, and the problem's already gone. The only thing that is left is the solution. So it's like figuring out what went wrong, how can I fix it for the next time. It might be refining a process. It might be, I need to be better about calling people back, whatever it may be. But just beating yourself up and, woe is me, that kind of stuff is not going to improve your life or the practice or business or whatever you're doing. You're just playing the victim, and nobody likes the victim. Nobody likes the victim, Nobody likes to be the victim until they start getting sympathy, and sympathy is a drug.
Absolutely. And nobody wants to be the problem. Nobody wants to feel like the opportunity was lost because of something that they did. But the reality is we're human. We are going to mess up. Harrison, I think whenever y'all spoke last week, talked about going to the film, right? Mm-hmm. Reassess your consults, reassess your phone calls, reassess your communications, and see if there was something that you could have done differently. Because I promise you, even if you're great, there's something you could have done differently. And even if you go into it with the truest want to serve this person, but maybe you had a bad day, maybe something wasn't going right, those things are going to conflict and come across, and it's going to happen. And unfortunately, sometimes you're going to have a no or an issue. But if you just take it on the chin, implement a different process, analyze yourself, and push through, then the next one's going to be all yours.
It's going to be so much better. I want to jump into the chat real quick. Avocado, thank you for following us over on Instagram. Pamela Small sent us over on LinkedIn. Every practice should have monthly meetings to discuss KPIs. Make sure everyone knows what the processes are and how to execute those processes seamlessly so patients are receiving exceptional care. 100% agree. If employees don't know what their goals are, they will never be able to achieve them. Exactly. That is great.
So true.
Because what gets measured gets managed. And just assuming that people are going to do their job, we know what assuming does.
Right. And unfortunately, a lot of times this isn't happening, right? We work alongside with a lot of great people at Gage, and I've talked to practices and they have it. And I'm like, I don't look at it. I don't use it. I don't know what my goals are. And so that comes from, the leadership standpoint as well. You have to make sure that you're communicating with every single team member and letting them know what their expectations are on those KPIs. Don't just have them look at something and be like, okay, well, it's down, it's up. Well, why is it down? Why is it up? What's changing? What's the dynamic? Where are we doing this? Because every aspect of your office is going to have a different KPI that they're trying to reach. Your front desk, calls, missed calls, callbacks, call durations, conversations, your TCs, conversion rates, pending follow-ups, all of those things. And then your clinic, emergencies and bonding deficiencies. So everybody has these things that they can improve on. But if we're not talking about them, if you're not tracking them, then it's like it's like having a map, right? If you don't know where you're going, then how are you going to get there? And so it's really difficult to do if we're not putting that structure in place and providing our team with what our aspirations and goals are and what our vision for the practice is and how we want to get there.
Yeah, and it's being mature enough, as you know, if you're a treatment coordinator, it's holding yourself to a standard. Even if you're in a practice and they don't have, for some odd reason, a goal for you, be like, okay, well, last month I did this. This month I want to add this many more starts. I want to call back, pending patients. I want to clear my pending patient list this month, or whatever it is. If no one is holding you accountable, you have to hold yourself accountable.
Yes.
And accountability is not a negative thing. It's just what grown-ups have to do.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to the point of that, team meetings are so essential. Mm-hmm. So learning what each individual department's going through and what their expectations are, and having a leadership key point is going to be so powerful. It just really is. And so if you're not having meetings or setting goals or KPIs, change it yesterday. It's really going to be a game changer for your team to know where they're driven to, and also how to get there, and where they're misstepping and where they're miscuing.
So, Melissa, I got to ask you, are there any last kind of golden nuggets that you have for treatment coordinators that you want to just kind of dole out? It's your Oprah time.
It's my Oprah time. I think the number one thing is start implementing something new for you every single day. Whether, like you said, or every single month, whether it's setting your own goals or attempting to exceed the goals that you have set. If you put the power and the purpose on yourself, and you really want to serve these patients, and you want to grow the practice, and you love the team that you work for, and you really are driven by that, then take it upon yourself. If you're not given guidance or given additional training or given additional spaces, there's a million resources. I think we've got a few that you can seek out on your own. And so I think that that's the number one thing that drove me. I loved what I did. I wanted to be better at it. I wanted to improve. And I put that purpose on me. And so while I was surrounded by an amazing team and driven by goals, the real thing that changed the dynamic for me as a treatment coordinator was my own wants and my own goals and my own striving to be better. And I think that could be streamlined across any position, but it's a big key piece for treatment coordinators. If you're just going through the motions, might not be the role for you.
Yeah, I think that is a huge thing to be self-aware in any role that you're in, and it doesn't cost you any money to be self-aware. It actually might make you more money if you are self-aware.
It will definitely make you more money the more self-aware you are.
Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead, pop them in the chat. We're getting to the kind of end here. We'd love to answer any of them. I've loved getting to just hang out and chat about the treatment coordinator position from Melissa. It has been such just a wealth of knowledge within this episode. And I think anyone that is wanting to improve, wanting to get better, go watch this like 20 times. Take notes, and you're going to be highly, highly impressed by what you can do. Also, if you want to go a step further, we do have the Ultimate Treatment Coordinator book. You can contact us, help@hipcreativeinc.com, and we can get you that book out. It's a great book, and we do have a course for that as well. But every part of this is being self-aware. It is making sure that you are showing up each and every day and being the best version of you.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Zach.
So, question on my end for you is pending treatment. So, they've come in, they're like, and they're gone. How do you go about scheduling, optimizing that side of your work? You've got your regular appointments and all that. You're talking to people, but how do you just get call after call? How is that part of the day to day?
So obviously making sure that you're making the most value of your time and setting your schedules. But there's always a time at the beginning of the morning before the first patient. There's always a time at the end of the day. There's always a time. But the number one thing is setting up and making sure that you have tasks set for them. Do not think that you're going to remember. Do not think that you're going to have some knowledge of, keeping it. Make yourself a tracking sheet. I don't care if you use Excel. I don't care if you have access to Practice Beacon, you're able to set those tasks and reminders, which are huge to be able to come in every day and know what you need to do. But don't let those fall to the side. I know that we're busy. I know that there's always something to do in every moment of the day, but making sure to set aside time, even if you're scheduling a set aside time and breaking it up throughout the afternoon or the morning to give yourself 10 or 15 minutes to make those quick calls, those quick texts. It's a game changer for you, but you have to put it into your process. I don't, come in 10 minutes early, leave 10 minutes late, or schedule it throughout your day to make sure that you're doing those, because they have to be done and they're going to be so important and so game changing for you. But Practice Beacon has great task reminders too.
Not to toot her on the horn or anything, but
it's how I keep up with all of you.
Well, that is our stream today. Make sure to like and subscribe to our weekly podcast, the Grow Ortho Podcast, to hear more content that can help you grow your practice or develop in your role. And Mark Twain said it best: the secret of getting ahead is getting started. So go out there and get started making the changes you want to see in your practice now. This has been Zach
and Melissa.
You've been listening to the Grow Ortho Podcast. Have a great weekend.